Hey, everybody. Welcome to Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I am so blessed and honored to be here in Omaha live with Randy Wilson, CEO of NEI Global Relocation. Hey, Randy, how are you?
I'm good, Ben. How are you?
I'm good. I'm in Omaha. It is sunny.
are.
The weather is beautiful. It's cooler than it's been in my other stops. So that's, a nice reprieve. And it feels good to be back in Omaha. This is my third time in Omaha.
It is.
Every time I come, I enjoy it more and more. If you've been to Omaha out there, put it in the comments. I want to know. It's a special time in Omaha. It's the College World Series, day one. Day one?
Tomorrow's day one.
Tomorrow's day one. It's day zero right now. But yeah, it's getting exciting around here. Get in the comments. I want to hear what your thoughts are. Give yourself a shout out, your company a shout out. Hit that like button right now. We're going to be talking to Randy today about all things. U.S. housing market. We're going to be talking about what companies are doing to attract and retain talent through their relocation policies. We're going to be talking about all sorts of things. And I can't wait. Love being here.
Well, thanks for having us on again. We're excited about that. So
yeah, and it's such a warm welcome every time. Jamie Master checking in. Hi, Ben and Randy. Cheers from blazing hot Mississippi.
Ooh.
Looking forward to the show. Randy is awesome.
Thank you.
Randy is awesome. Hi, what's up, Vinny? Good to see you. Randy's one of my favorites. Are you feeling the love?
I am.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
It's nice, isn't it? It's nice.
It relaxes you, that's for sure.
It's like, yes, I'm home. People like me. Jana Chezanowski from Brazil in the house.
Hey, Jenna.
This is great. Jana was at the Alliance meeting last year.
Yes, she was.
Looking forward to hopefully our second one this year. Christina, hope you both are well. Thank you so much. Aaron checking in from KC. Teresa Pope checking in from Phoenix, where it's 107. Teresa, stay cool, stay hydrated.
107.
Jonathan, I know, right? Jonathan Johnson can't wait to return to Omaha for the NEI Global Partner Alliance Summit. People love the summit.
We're glad.
It's a great event.
Glad. We have fun putting it on, and we really like seeing everybody. So we're glad you like it.
Yeah, and everybody's welcome here in Omaha, and it feels like a good homecoming welcome. Amanda Bendel, the newest member of the Glomo team, our intern Amanda out of New York. Can't wait to see you up in the Northeast soon. Cindy Spoon. Hey, hit that like button right now. You're checking in. Send a little love out here to Omaha. We're going to be getting into it. And if you've got questions for Randy, throw them in the comments. I'd love to take your questions as well. Ruby checking in. Fantastic. This is great. Poolside in Texas. That sounds nice right now.
Yeah, that is sounding
good.
My
goodness. It's summertime, peak seasons here. This is also when the housing market traditionally picks up. Mm-hmm. But this is a weird year. What's going on in the U.S. domestic housing market?
This is weird year number 3.
Weird year number 3. I know every year's a weird year. And it's weird for different reasons. We can't even get used to the weird. The weird changes on us.
That's exactly right. Well, the housing market, as we're seeing it anyway, it's starting to slow down a little bit, which when you're not getting 20 and 25 offers on a property, you're able to get through the work a little bit more quickly.
Is it nicer for you to see it slow down just so the work's not so frantic and there's not like so much work per transaction? Is it almost kind of nice?
Yes. Kinda? It's one of those double-edged swords, right?
Right.
Exactly. But it is the challenge really now is the interest rates. Earlier this week, they exceeded 6%. So they hit that, in my mind, a high water mark. But I'm afraid we might see them go even higher. So we're really going to work with our clients because this is a time where you have to prepare on what might happen in the future. And I saw an advertisement for an ARM, an adjustable rate mortgage. And I thought, I haven't heard people talk about that in a while.
Yeah. That's almost one of those things that kind of got us into trouble the first time in 08. I say the first time.
Being creative.
Yeah.
But so I think right now we're spending time preparing our clients that, you might start hearing that employees, their payments are going up too much. When you go from 3% to 6%, you're adding on our average house, you're adding $600, $700, $800 a month to your payment.
Wow. So that's significant.
Yeah. And while it's still reasonable, Unfortunately, I had a map of all the interest rates over the years and it stopped at 82. And I'm like, I know it was higher than 16 point something percent. I remember it. And 2 years before that, it was at 18.4%. So
wow.
6% to me still sounds reasonable,
Right.
having lived through that and during the oil crisis down in Texas. But it's not going to sound that great.
So historically, 6% is reasonable, but just in recent memory, when was the
Right.
last time it was 6? When do you think we got
I
charts?
brought a paper with me.
Look at that.
2003.
So
it
2003.
Was at 6.
So not forever. 19 years ago, it was at 6.
Yeah.
On its way down to 2.
And we thought 6 was wonderful.
Yeah, because I'm looking at your paper, and 6 was a reprieve from, gosh, we were up around 10 in 1988, 89. That's when it got sub 10. So really, to put that really does put things in perspective.
It does.
Now, my generation, I came into the workforce in 2005, 2006, right? And that was right before, the Great Recession, and the crash and all that kind of stuff. Where were the rates then?
6 and 6.25.
6.25. Okay. All right. So 6 is really, but it's just, I guess it's always about that recent comparison. We do have a lot of recency bias here. People are used to affording big old homes and wanting to keep up with the Joneses. So I want to know, look, we got people checking in. Put some questions in here. If you've got questions or comments about what you're seeing in the real estate market, put it in there. We got Patience checking in from Dallas. NEI is a great partner. And Patience is lovely. Love Patience. Scott Chapman checking in. Exactly, Randy. In a historical perspective, we are still in a very good position. It's all about perspective.
It is. But if you've already got your budget all figured out and you're now living within a 3% interest rate budget, it's going to be hard to adjust to, just like it was hard to adjust to coming back into the office, right?
Right. So now your boss calls you and says, okay, I need to relocate you to wherever. And now you need to buy into this new market.
Right.
And that's raising all sorts of concerns and challenges, I'm sure.
I think it will be.
And what kind of challenges or maybe responses to those challenges do you think we might see?
Well, their first concern is going to be, where's that money coming from? And while there have been a lot of wage adjustments, as everybody's been trying to adopt the more competitive wages, that's, everybody learns to live within their budget. So they're going to probably be interested in some of our old solutions.
Isn't that neat? What's old is new again?
Right. Like discount points, which probably don't want to do that, but buy downs, subsidies. Tell me about
some of these. I want to dive into some of these things, right? Because I think this is neat, because this is a nice refresher, right, for us, right? We all took our CRP, and passed it a long time ago, and we had to learn these things, but we hadn't had to really apply them in some time, right? So tell me about a buy down.
A buy down is when you can have a permanent buy down, and that's when you'll pay 2, 3, 4, 5, depends on how far you want to buy that interest rate down. From 6 to 5 might cost you 1.5, and I'm just making these numbers up. 6 to 4 might cost you 4 or 5 points, but then you would have that rate for the life of the loan.
And does that make sense? What type of transferee or home buyer does that make sense for?
It's a little bit like refinancing. So what companies will usually do is they'll scale that back over a period of 2, 3, maybe even 4 years, depending on where they're going, thinking that the reasoning behind that used to be that the employee will get raises and they'll be able to fill in that gap and get used to the new higher payment after that second, third, or fourth year, whichever way they prefer to do it. And then the other way is to do a subsidy, where actually over a 1, 2, or 3 year period, some companies actually went up to 5 years before. You'll have to look at how long is it before your employee typically moves again. right? And that'll help you determine what period of time you might want.
Okay, so if you're moving them every 3 years, that's one thing. If it's kind of, okay, this is a once in a career move and, or a group move or whatever,
Right.
it's a different approach.
It's a different approach. But on a mortgage subsidy, basically, in very high level terms, you are paying a portion of their payment every month for a certain period of time.
But there's always a sunset on that. There's always a certain period of time. It's just not like that, I guess, for forever, for 30 years.
On a subsidy. But if you are doing the buy down and you're paying those 4, 5, 6 points, whatever it might be, then that will reduce their interest rate for the whole term of the loan. So if they get a 15-year loan, it'll be for 15 years. If they get a 30-year loan, it'll be for 30.
Now, what about loss on sale? We haven't talked about that for a while, it seems like.
And that's probably, unfortunately, when you have a real estate market that has escalated so quickly so much.
Yes.
You will have a downturn in it. And once your employees start moving again, if they can't get that out, some will at least be looking for some help. They might need some help in order to make that move and help the company in that new location. So loss on sales are expected to be surfacing at some point in the relatively near future. And then you have to get into, okay, are we going to put capital improvements in that calculation? There are all ways to calculate. There are ways to, you might.
When you say capital improvements, what are capital improvements? How does that come into the mix? I'm very curious. We're kind of nerding out on real estate over here. So please bear with us. Throw your questions and comments in there. If you want to add to the conversation, I see Vinny, I see Jack, I see people checking in here. That's awesome. Get in the conversation. Also hit that like button out there and let us know what you think. But how do capital improvements factor into it, Randy?
If it's covered, there's a school of thought that, the capital improvement is already in the appraised value. So some companies will not consider them at all. Other companies, and most companies, if they're going to include them, they'll use the IRS definition, which has to prolong the life of the home, or like a roof, or a new furnace and air, those types of things, or an addition to the property, and something that adds usable living space to it.
Right.
Yeah. So most companies will follow that, and then they'll decide if they want to look at, we'll help you 25%. We'll pay 25% of that. Some companies will pay any percentage and then go up to the whole amount, which the last time this came out was more during the financial crisis. When was that? 19?
Which one?
20, the mortgage crisis.
06, 07, 08.
07, 8, 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, they looked at it then as well.
Yeah. It's really interesting stuff. And I love the fact that, frankly, you have that great perspective, right? Because I've been in this business for what feels like a good amount of time, but to live through and manage through cycles, there's so much institutional knowledge and so much is just kind of in your bones, and you've seen it before. And when you see it again, you know what to do. And so I appreciate you sharing the knowledge. We got people checking in here. All these folks, look at Jackie saying the king of Omaha, the Oracle, would advise us all to play the long game. Yeah, always a good idea in finance and in life. Right. Vinny saying the fun scaling of mortgage points. Yes, Vinny, get your pen and paper out. We're gonna really give you some good knowledge. Sherelle here, howdy from Royce City. What's up, Sherelle? Jack Jampel, hey Jack, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you, Jack. I'd love to know what you're thinking about doing with your policies if what's happening in real estate is affecting it and what you predict to happen, because I know Jack's got some great opinions about this stuff. Let's see here. We got people saying the mortgage subsidies are still alive and well. Many clients considering points for subsidy policies right now to contend with rising rates. Very interesting. And Vinny's got a question. If you've got questions, put them in the comments and we will get to all of your questions. Vinny says, Randy, so we are all looking at our policies due to increased rates. Would you recommend providing MIDA,
mortgage interest differential?
Thank you. Or scaling mortgage points, or both?
Typically, Vinny, what we would do is look at what each program is going to cost, whichever way you're going to structure it, and the period of time, and try to make it the most feasible for the client and the company. I believe that MIDAs have been very popular, but if there's one thing that we've learned over the last 2.5 years, that is, old tricks can be good tricks, but you certainly have to be willing to modernize them and kind of tweak them to meet, the current economic demands and the current employee demands. So not knowing for sure how it will look and how they'll be charged, we'd have to go in and really look at that. But MIDAs used to be the way to go.
So does it have to do more with how long the employee is going to be in the home, or some other factor?
I think that, companies try to determine the length based on how long they might be in the home, but not go past. I've never seen anybody go past 5 years unless they did guaranteed mortgages, like second mortgages. A little bit of history back when it was 18.4% back in the 80s.
Oh, let's look at that 18.4. That was back in 1980, it looks like.
Yeah. Especially homes in California when they were so high. Companies were doing not only second guaranteed mortgages, but employees would go to banks and they'd get third and fourth mortgages in order to buy a property.
Wow.
So, it's something that you just really have to see where you're at and what it's going to take.
What's interesting, I was sitting with somebody and who was born right after World War II. Mm-hmm. And he was talking to me about his first home and the cost of it. It was in the tens of thousands of dollars, right? And I said, well, what do you think that home would be worth now? And he guessed a lot higher than it really was, and it was actually worth about $220,000 is what it would be worth in today's dollars. Yes. And it seems like, my guess here, this is a total guess, but it never stops me from throwing it out there, right? Right. It seems like as interest rates have come down, that affordability, that budget has been allocated to just getting a bigger house. And now we see bigger houses than we used to see, and we see more expensive houses being the norm because we've been taking advantage of the low interest rates and just buying more house. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if smaller homes, if the old 3.2s coming back, and starter homes, right? I mean, a lot of people are buying starter homes. It didn't seem like traditional starter homes.
Right. I would have given anything to have some of the starter homes that are out there today. I had a little post-war, they called them cracker boxes, like 700 square feet. Right. That was my first home.
Yeah. Everybody shares a bathroom, you learn Law and Order real quick and how to work as a team, and
Yeah, but you'll have, as the interest rates go up, that's going to put downward pressure on the homes. So when my kids say, should I wait? I said, well, you don't ever want to some people have to buy at the top of the market, but if you can help it, don't buy at the top of the market. And that's about the only thing, if interest rates are going up, the prices are going to come down some. If the prices are going up, that's because the interest rates are coming down. That's historically how it goes. We've had some weird things.
Well, give me some advice here. Randy, I want some advice. I am looking to buy a house in the northern suburbs of Dallas, Texas, very desirable area. And I'm renting currently, and my rent is my term is up in February, and I was planning on buying a house in February. Should I renew my lease and rent another year, or what do you think I should do, Randy?
Well, I think we should find that crystal ball.
Just dust that thing off.
Dust it off and let's get it out again. Or maybe the 8-ball, that tells you which way to go.
Right, the magic 8-ball, right.
But first I would say real estate's local. So whatever city you're in and whatever subdivision you're in is going to dictate where it's at in the market right now. With the pressure that's on, I'd wait a little while. But your February date next year might be a good date. Mm-hmm. I was just watching, home prices escalate over the last 2 years. I just been watching it powerless, and I'm like, oh no, when is it going to stop?
And it might actually time nicely. I don't know. Or I could just be at the top of the roller coaster and just buy at the top of the market, just crash on down, lose half my home value in 2 years. Hopefully not.
I'm not sure. There might be some realtors out there that can tell us if we've hit the top of the market in their markets anyway.
Please help me out there. Cindy Spoon says, come up to Aubrey, Texas way, Ben. Well, Cindy, show me some houses. I don't know. We got some other considerations. I'll have to get my wife involved here. I'll talk to my spouse. Mary Piper, exactly. Please lend me your crystal ball, Randy. Well, at the Alliance, we did have an economist.
We did.
Who kind of had the crystal ball out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He told us we
should go back and look.
He told us there wasn't going to be a recession. I remember that. And that housing prices would continue to rise. And I was just like, yeah, I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. I don't know about that. I didn't know about that, but we'll see. A lot can happen.
Well, they did continue to rise.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of questions for him in October.
Right.
Sherelle, the big difference between, is it Midas?
Midas.
I knew that. The big difference between Midas, subsidies, and COLAs are taxability. They do function similarly. So, Sherelle, what do you recommend? Vinny's question there is still on the table. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Talking about policies, Randy, and we're kind of a lot of people have called it the great resignation, the great realization, realignment. Everything starts with an R. But we're in this hot talent market, and everybody needs people, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And how does that impact what companies are doing to attract and retain people, and how is that impacting their relocation programs and benefits? What are you seeing out there?
There's a fair amount of shifting going on, and I wouldn't say it's monumental shifting, but there are things that lump sums have become big for certain groups, either a full lump sum for their benefits, all of them, or a lump sum for certain benefits, and then you get a complement of benefits, a program. The thing that we have really been noticing over the past probably year is that, well, really over the last 2.5 years, I guess, is those that are being moved are needed in certain spots. And I think there was some talk earlier about individuals who may want help, it was when you were talking about the difference with U.S. versus EMEA or other areas, that in the U.S., people are much more used to having that service, right? Having somebody to talk to. And while I do know that there is a preference to have good technology tools, they're a supplement to the service that we provide still, because when you talk to most of them, they're calling in, they're saying, I don't know what to do. And even though it sounds good that, this generation in particular is a tech savvy generation, they don't want to talk to people. We haven't found that to be true. They do want to talk to people. They want to know what they should do next, what's the best use of whatever money they have. And home sales are being reserved for certain levels of moves, for critical talent, for executives, for special opportunities, things like that, hard to fill positions. There's a lot of focus on flexing more and some easy things. Like, what do you mean? Like sometimes, at least in my mind, I make things too hard, right? And everybody in our organization would say, no, you make things too simple. But when I think about flexing, I'm always looking for a new program. And sometimes you need to stop and just look at the program that you have. So if you're offering new home closing costs and you're having trouble filling positions, why not offer those to your renters? And I'm sure some people are gasping at this point because, there was a point where we preferred to move renters because they were more economical to move. So there were bonuses for renters. But now it's more about keeping and retaining employees, and what better to retain an employee than to get them to put down more permanent roots.
I agree. That makes a lot of sense. I know when I moved to Michigan, my employers were really happy to hear that I bought a house.
Right.
That really signaled to them like, hey, he's he's here to stay.
He's serious.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Right. And there are other little tweaks that you can do. It could be just calling something different or providing a flex fund. And I know we have a lump sum for some benefits, and we have a miscellaneous expense allowance that's supposed to cover like all your licensing things and maybe getting new window coverings and those miscellaneous things from the move. But what about that personal integration into the community? You know, people are really looking at flex funds to help support that. And I know that that only adds to the cost of the company, but the nice thing is you can do some of that core flex with these things and allow them to pick and choose the individuals. So they're really going out of the way. And the other thing that we found was this level of program, and you might have seen it in mobility, but it's called Extra Care. And we are there every step of the way. Our account executive, which is similar to a relocation consultant, they're involved in every step of that move. They're scheduling the calendars. They're scheduling the appointments. It takes the employee out of that equation, makes them, the account executive, the single point of contact, not coordination, the single point of contact. And that has really been received well. And it seems to be filling that gap of there's so many shortages all around. People aren't there to do some of the things they need to do. And how frustrating that is when you're just trying to get into a house, or you're trying to get into an apartment, or you're trying, temporary living, and you're running into issues because you didn't have time maybe to plan it appropriately. Anyway, that's what we're doing.
So you're talking about single point of contact, and now that's on these Extra Care moves, like that kind of VIP stuff. So it's kind of a concierge type of approach to it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's an elevated service approach to it.
Okay. It's so funny. I'm of two minds on this, right? Because on the one hand, as a career service provider, I always value the opportunity to talk to the transferee and deliver the message. And if there's any issue, to solve it as quickly as possible and just have that direct line. As a person who's moved 13 times since college, I can also see the value of having a concierge. It's just like, hey, handle it, bye,
Right.
And I don't want to have to talk to Susie at the moving company and Larry at the inspection, and all the different people involved. So, I don't know. I don't know where I land on that, but I do like the concept.
I would say, I just said to somebody the other day, we live in a world of gray. Nothing is black and white in our business. So though I say that's what we are there to do, if the employee or the executive or the person that needs that critical care, that critical attention, wants to talk to somebody direct, we're not going to say, no, you can't.
Sure.
So,
well, and these people,
but we'll accompany them on that discussion.
Yeah. And these executives, a lot of them live in worlds, where they have executive assistants, right? And they have people, and they're used to, and they really are very comfortable, abdicating a lot of that responsibility that way. We got people checking in.
Yeah,
this is a lot of commentary going on here. A lot of mortgage talk in here, which is super awesome. Hit that like button right now. Send some love out here to Omaha. It looks like we got some clouds rolling in. We got this amazing view. I wish y'all could see this. Got this amazing view here. It looks like we got a little cloud cover coming in here, just in time for the soften up the dirt over there at the stadium there for some good baseball tomorrow. Cindy's loving it. Randy, single point of contact is huge in service. Cindy likes it. Jack, Sherelle, very true. We will probably go back to Midas, as we call them in the biz. I'm learning every day. Look at this. Look at this. Jack's going back to Midas. This is great. Jack, I'd love to hear your thoughts on all this. You always got some great opinions here. Viva says, interesting to see a lot of U.S. domestic challenges compared to international challenges. Complete different markets, but more as similarities as ever before. Viva, I'd love to hear what you're seeing on the international side. Any questions you got or comments you have for us. But Randy, what are you seeing as the challenges on the international side? You have offices in Switzerland, offices in Singapore. Truly a global company. What are some of the challenges from the international side right now?
I think most of our challenges come from the shortage of labor and the shortage of, we have just about every service partner. NEI, I'm sure if we're all being honest, every company out there is faced with some of those shortages. And so you might not get the crew that you really hope to get for that household goods move, or you might not get the experienced individual for that area orientation that you once got because of that turnover. But we're all working very feverishly and quickly to make sure that we're training up new talent. And for us, we have our university, so we're very much about training and getting that experience in. And I know that all of our service partners and everybody out there is working very diligently to do that. But that's, I'd say, the biggest challenge, and it doesn't matter where you're at in the world right now.
Yeah, everybody's got a people challenge right now. We got the rains rolling in here. The pitter. Can you hear the pitter patter of raindrops? This beautiful view is also. You got front row seat to Mother Nature here. I think it's interesting, and I think we all have to be very responsive to the needs of our employees right now, and realize that some of them are opting out of the workforce for various reasons, and sometimes it's compensation related, sometimes it's culture related, sometimes it's just the nature of the work. And recently had a conversation regarding DSPs and how difficult it is for them to find destination service consultants to do the area tours. And one of the things that we're seeing is requiring fuel surcharges and things like that, right? Because the price of fuel and gas in this country, $4 or $5 a gallon, we think it's bad. And then over in Europe, it's twice as much, right? And those destination service consultants, especially in other parts of the world, are so critical to the assignee experience. And I think we have to just, listen and say, what do you need to be successful? Understanding that our employee success is ultimately our customers and shareholders' success as well. Yeah.
Right. I agree. One of the things that I've noticed, and I don't know if this is a trend yet, but one of the things I've noticed is as you can imagine, and I'm sure many of you are doing the same thing, but you're staying pretty close to HR to make sure you're getting the talent that you need. And we're getting a lot that are saying, I've been out of the workplace for a year because I just needed a break. And I don't think that's unusual, where people just needed to say, I just can't, I'm burned out. I need to step back.
People are taking a mental health year.
Right. But that's good, because we're getting lots of resumes in. It's almost doubled.
Wow.
In the last several months. So we're excited about that. Some people coming back into the market now.
Yeah.
At least in Omaha, especially because we got 1.9% unemployment here.
Oh, wow. Wow. So everybody's working that can work, right?
Yeah.
Here we are in this, beautiful 3-story office in lovely arboreal Omaha. And, I love being in the offices here. I love seeing the energy and the warm smiling faces and the hugs and handshakes. It's just wonderful. And, we've been kind of sort of back for a while and been to some conferences, but it doesn't get old.
No.
And I wanted to know what your thoughts are about about office, about return to office, about the future of the traditional office. What are your thoughts there?
We have a hybrid. We're pretty unusual. We came back the fall of 2020. We came back into the office. And there's so much that happens in the office. There's more collaboration. There are quicker decisions.
Partner presentations where you can do learnings and transfers, knowledge transfer.
Right. But we have gone to a hybrid work model because, it seems to be very successful. I mean, we were out of the office for quite a while. So we've always had, since that, we were some of the first companies. I think it was 1989 when we had our first offsite employee who worked out of Oklahoma, I think it was. And we have 60 people that work remote in different cities, countries, that sort of thing. So we were very used to it. And one thing we had to do is take a little bit more time for the financial groups to make sure that we had the right securities and the right things set up in place. But we've gone to everybody's eligible, except for managers right now. They're still staying in and making sure everybody's, getting used to the model and still communicating. And with things like Zoom, it's a lot easier to stay in touch and see people's faces. But there's nothing like being able to sit side by side and really share thoughts and ideas and watch body language, that sort of thing. So I hope we're able to always have, some sort of togetherness, right? But even having said that, we have reduced our office space. We reduced it by about 26, 28%.
So it sounds like then you're forecasting a long-term impact to the in-office, the amount of in-office. I mean, obviously you're trying to come back as much as you can because you realize the benefits, but at the same time acknowledging, we don't need as much space as we used to need.
Right.
Let me ask, do you think there will be a 26% reduction in relocation volume long-term because of the folks not being in offices at many companies?
I don't think so.
We don't hope so.
Maybe it's hopeful or it's wishful thinking, but I don't think so because companies, at least right now, companies need those employees wherever they're at. And as long as they can accommodate them without getting themselves into legal issues or tax nexus that they don't want to get involved in, if they can support that, we're going to right now. And we're going to have fewer workers in the workplace as the years go by. That's just the number in the generations, right? So I don't think that's going to stop. But interest rates, inflation, those could definitely have an impact on relo.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really curious what happens to all the office space, right? If let's just say there's a across the board reduction of 26%. Say every company does the same thing. Well, that's 1 in 4 offices, or 1 in 4. One in 4 offices.
Right.
What happens to these buildings? They all come. What are they?
That building right across the street from us that you can see.
Yeah.
That was a 24-hour fitness, and they're taking that building and they are revamping it, and they're going to make it 3 stories up. And they're making apartments out of it.
So they're actually going to build on it. So it's 2 stories probably now. They're going to probably build a 3rd story and make it apartments.
Exactly.
Wow.
So they'll find other uses for it, but there'll be less building on the commercial side, except for, I think less building on the commercial side.
Even right, because even retail, right?
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Because we're all going to be shopping online and that kind of stuff. So. Really interesting.
Usually malls, they have about a 20-year lifespan, usually.
Right.
But now, I don't know that they'll build as many. Usually they build them in the newer parts of town.
Right.
But not very many people go to it.
Well, I could see malls turning into like indoor parks.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are, we're all experiencing a hot summer right now, but you want to get out and play, but you can't play in 100 degrees. So, you have these indoor spaces that could be indoor parks. Love to hear what you think out there. We're kind of getting a little crazy thinking outside the box here. Let's see what Mickey Myers talking about. I'm curious if we'll see regional relocations to get people closer to a HQ, for instance, but not necessarily be in the office full time. Right. So be kind of within striking distance, right? Within commuting distance. Perhaps smaller offices with bigger conference space when all hands meetings occur. So maybe more offices, less one home office, one HQ, but more regional offices, and then relocating people to like that state or that general area. Maybe a commute time. Mickey, are you talking about maybe a commute time of 45 minutes to an hour radius versus that 15 to 30 minute radius? Is that kind of what you're talking about, Mickey? What are your thoughts on this possible trend, Randy?
I agree with it. Yeah. I think we are seeing some of that, and I think we'll see more of it, because otherwise, there's going to be that need to fly them in every time. And the
Yeah.
travel costs are going to go up extremely high.
Yes. Yes.
So I do think there's value in being in region. And we're seeing at least a lot of our clients considering those same things.
I feel it. You know, we're having
Mhm.
our second quarterly GLOMO meeting, and as our team gets bigger, we're flying everyone into New York and everything.
Right.
It's $2,000 worth of plane tickets, and you know what actually gets you worse than the plane tickets? The hotels.
Oh,
It's
right
it's
now,
almost $5,000 worth of hotels.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a
Well,
lot.
I was surprised when you were talking about what you were paying for a hotel. You're lucky it's not Friday night, because those will go up at least 3 times that,
Yeah.
just because
Oof.
of the College World Series.
Wow. Wow. That's oh.
Yeah, you're lucky you're getting out of
Jack
here.
saying everyone said NYC was going to close down. It's back. Well, Jack, it's not back until Jack's there. So, Jack, I'm going to be there June 30th. We're having a happy hour get together, and I'd love for you to come into the city. So we'll see if NYC is really back. Because if Jack's willing to come into the city to have a drink and hang out, that's when you know it's back. Because that's what would have happened 10 years ago. So let's see if Jack makes it.
Sounds like a challenge.
It's a
Jack.
challenge, Jack. Love Jack so much. Can't wait to see him in person. Give him a big hug. Oh, this is good times. Everybody's having conversations here regarding all the interest rates and the empty. Dave Yakum, the empty buildings will become condos or apartments.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, you gonna buy yourself a building over here in West Omaha? You might want to. They got a nice Anytime Fitness for sale over here.
Oh no, it's sold.
Let's see here. We're talking about realtors in the future. Love it. Fantastic. This is a lot of fun. Randy, you know, I love talking about this, and you know, I think it's so cool whenever I come to NEI. This is, to my knowledge, the largest woman-owned relocation management company in the world. And you know, I know you don't like to toot your own horn out here in Omaha. You know, very humble people, but this is pretty incredible. It's pretty cool, and what you've built here, and is pretty neat. And I just wanted to ask you, how does that feel?
It feels amazing, actually.
Good.
You look back.
It should feel amazing.
Yeah. You look at, everybody that you're working with and how well they do and how engaged they are. And you can't help but be proud of them and their commitments and what they're accomplishing every day. So yeah, there's a lot of pride within the organization. I think I have to say, thank you, JCPenney, because we handled their work for quite a long time in the 2000s. And they're the ones that really asked us and pushed us to get the certification. And when you say around the world, the reason I grimace maybe just a little bit on that is I don't know that there are comparable certifications around the world, but that's
True.
what I understand within the United States anyway.
Yeah, we are. We're really good at certifying,
Right.
WBE, MBE certifications here in the States. They're starting to do it in the UK. But you're right. We're not as good at certifying businesses around the world. But I can tell you, having gone to some global relocation conferences, I certify you as the biggest.
Could you put that in writing,
I will
please?
put it in writing. Someone put that in the comments. Ben said it. That it's in writing. Yeah, I think it's super cool. Mary Piper, NEI has a wonderful culture they've maintained over the years. They invest in their employees. Well, that's the next thing I wanted to ask you too, Randy, is like, do you think it makes a difference? Do you think the composition of the C-suite, of the board, makes a difference in the culture of a company?
Oh, I absolutely do. I think it's important that we live, breathe, walk, talk, that we embody our culture and our values, because most people will naturally come along if you live it, right? If that's what you're doing, and you will hire people with similar values, you will, train. So I believe, and, this morning I just had breakfast with some of our new employees. We do that. Well, whenever we have enough, 8 or 10, we keep it small. We have breakfast and we ask them how their onboarding went and how things are going. And just being able to sit and talk with them you get such great feedback. And I hear all the time, oh, nobody cares how many times I ask a question. Oh, they're so helpful. And if I mess up, they just help me fix it. They don't, judge me. And without fail, every time I ask them, I recognize that as our culture, as part of our culture, and the kindness and all of that, you hear about it. And I ask them to pay it forward. That's the only way that we can keep that culture alive. We all have to work on it every day. So at least I have eight more ambassadors after this morning, I hope.
I love that you tasked them with paying it forward, because I think so many people think leadership is a title, and they say, well, I'm not a leader. I'm just an account executive, or I'm just a consultant. I'm just a, whatever.
Right.
But I think leadership is actions, and when you're tasking them with paying it forward, you're empowering them to make a difference for somebody else.
Right.
And I just think that's really so powerful. I think if we all recognize the power that we have, whether it be in our homes, in our communities, in schools, at our workplace, we'd find that we're much more powerful than we even know. And with that, I think there's an opportunity. And so that's really cool. Thank you. Yeah. We got some comments coming in here. Scott just put it in writing. Headline news: Ben Cross certifies NEI as largest woman-owned RMC in the multiverse. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Yes, now you have real estate in Meta. That's awesome. Sherelle, great leadership in action. Super true. We've got a question coming from Southeast Asia. Oh, look at this. Thank you, Shailesh, for staying up. I don't even know what time it is there. Thank you so much for checking out. He's you know what time it is in Southeast Asia? I know Southeast Asia is a big place.
It's going to be 3, 4, maybe 6 a.m.
Oh, well, there you go. Early bird gets the worm, Shailesh. How do you see that South Asia will have an impact with the upcoming economic changes combined with the turbulence in mobility industry? Do you have a Southeast Asia or South Asia outlook for us? Crystal ball time.
I know. I wish Michelle Moore or Molly Evenchich were in here right now, because they probably do have a very good response to that. And I'm afraid that I don't. I know that with the turmoil that's been going on between Ukraine and Russia, that there's been a lot of concern for others just in that Southeast area. So we just hope everybody stays safe and right now.
And then there's the stuff's going on in Sri Lanka with the collapse there, the economic collapse. I mean, there's some real instability going on, and with instability, typically there's economic impacts, right? Because economies thrive on predictability. That's when investment's there, and that's when the flow of money and goods and services can occur. So yeah, I think you have reason to be concerned, Shailesh. But I wonder, what maybe is that silver lining or that opportunity. With every downturn comes opportunity. We kind of talked about that.
Absolutely.
Right. And so and
we're still seeing activity. I mean, it hasn't stopped.
Right.
I can't say it's flourishing right now necessarily, though.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I've seen some folks, who are doing business in Southeast Asia, especially affected by shipping challenges, right?
Right.
Have really found opportunities to shine and differentiate themselves by coming up with creative alternatives, like, suggesting over the road shipments to different ports to then consolidate things and ship them out of different ports, right? To avoid some of the congestion issues, increased use of air shipments, for instance. I think Shailesh comes from a household good background there. So I want to,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
This is interesting. Shailesh always has some really interesting questions here. Why are top honchos, I don't know who those are, but leaving their original growing ground, especially across the globe? Professionals have given their sweat and soul to grow the organization. You're seeing people leaving. Do you see that, Randy? Maybe a bit of a brain drain or something going on in certain areas? I don't know.
I would imagine that businesses leave when they find greater opportunities in another area, right?
Yeah.
There could be so many reasons for that. It would be hard to speculate. It could be labor force. It could be easy access to product. I mean, so many reasons for that.
Yeah, the ones I hear about, access to talent is huge. Flip side, it's kind of part and parcel of that is low cost. Areas have traditionally been, access to resources like Randy was saying, favorable tax environments. A lot of times, companies will get deals to go in places, and there's whole organizations, with the express purpose of recruiting businesses to their state, region, country. That's why Texas has been so, Texas has been very successful in recruiting businesses to set up headquarters in Texas. And so we're seeing a lot of group move activity, which is also not helping my real estate outlook. February is my deadline, people. So, give me some pocket listings to look at, please. That would be amazing. This is it's always fun to come out here and visit with you, Randy. And today, being on the eve of the college baseball World Series here, flights are crazy, hotels are crazy. Everybody seems to converge on Omaha for this period of the summer. What happens to Omaha during the college World Series?
Well, if you're downtown, you can party all night long.
Well, gosh, I'm going to change my flight then. Honey, I'm not going to be home tonight. I'll be downtown.
When you get to see all the different fans that come into town, and they've got all these tents. And
what is it, 8 teams? Is that what comes to town? I think it's 18. Can somebody fact check that? How many teams are included?
Mitch, are you on here?
And what are the teams? I need stats and research. Stats and information, please. Can we get the names of the 8 teams? Cut and paste them in there. Let us know who's coming to town. I want to know what kind of party vibes we got coming. But yeah, what happens downtown?
Well, I'll tell you, LSU, they're the best ones.
Yeah. Oh wow.
All kinds of food.
Hot take there. LSU's the best.
As far as partying with them and having great food and being so friendly. Yes. At least that was my experience.
Mitch is saying yes, 8 teams. Appreciate you, Mitch. This is great. Amy, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, Oklahoma. That's right. Who are you rooting for? I want to hear it. This is an audience question here. Who are you rooting for in the College World Series? Have you ever been to Omaha for the College World Series? Scott's enjoying himself. Appreciate you, Scott. Mike Felias. This is when we get all the comments, start talking sports at the end. Everybody comes out of the woodwork. Mike Felia, who's got several sons who have gone through college baseball and a couple of pros in there. Omaha is absolutely insane for the College World Series. Mike, have you ever had any of your sons play in the College World Series? I was there for 2 weeks in 2013 with my son's team. The UCLA Bruins won the College World Series. And yes, there are 8 teams.
Well, I know at least one of our employees who's saying yes for the UCLA Bruins.
Nice. And Amy, Arkansas, Auburn, Ole Miss, Sanford out of Florida, I believe, outside of Orlando. People are saying gig 'em Aggies. People are going for the Aggies, rooting for Oregon State. Look at this. This is fun. Yeah,
I didn't hear LSU.
I was supposed to leave tomorrow, and I think I canceled my flight. I should have stayed the night. Stanford, not Sanford. Sanford's in Florida. Stanford's just one consonant off there. Stanford's in Palo Alto. There we go. Very good. Look at this. Fingers crossed for the announcement today if Houston has been chosen as a host city for the World Cup. Not baseball, but very exciting. World Cup of soccer. Is that right, Mary?
I just learned that today.
Yeah. No, that's
in
Houston.
our breakfast.
Well, and if it was for the World Cup, would it be the U.S. would win and it would be multiple cities within the U.S.? And Mary Piper, if so, which cities would it be? I would love to know because Qatar is coming up right now. The World Cup's about to start. Yes, she's saying, look at this. This is great. World Cup. Vai Brasil. Vinny over here with the Brazil. When does the World Cup kick off? We need information. I feel like I'm all of a sudden we need co-hosts. We need a sports anchor. We need all sorts of extra people here. But this is real. Look at people are getting excited here. I've enjoyed this discussion. Thank you. Yes, Jill. It's great to see you out there. People are shouting out the Rebels here. College greatest show on dirt. The greatest show on dirt. Should definitely try to check it out. That's great. Oh, this is so much fun. Randy, before we close here, you want to leave people maybe with just a final thought?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts.
Well, go for it.
I guess my final thought would be, it's important right now to be kind to each other, because there has been so much stress and there's so much going on still in our world, to just be patient and, to always be there for wherever your community is. And I know that's not a work-related one, but I think
it applies to work too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not relocation specific, I guess, but
that's one of the reasons I love Lon Kmeyer so much.
Yeah.
Happy Friday emails coming across.
Friday.
I'm like, sweet. Kindness is infectious.
Right. I reposted on Facebook. I know you all know those memories come up, and I reposted one where I was sitting in an airport, and two children were starting to argue, and the mother said, "Now remember, we talked about how everybody has opinions, or everybody looks at things a certain way, and neither one is wrong, and it's just good to discuss it and then go on our way." And that's not exactly it, but that was the intent of it. And the children just went back to playing, and they weren't arguing anymore.
Wow.
And I thought that I'll repost that every year when it comes up, because I think it's a good reminder.
Yeah.
It's okay to have different opinions, and it's okay to think of things differently. But let's just stay kind, and let's respect each other.
Yeah. And I think it helps too to remember. That's great. And I think it helps too to remember that we have more in common than we have differences.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we're all in this thing together.
Exactly.
And it's a great reframe and a great way to think about it going into the last show of the week here is so really the weekend. Randy Wilson, CEO, NEI Global Relocation, live here in Omaha. It is always a real pleasure being with you.
Well, thank you. It's always a pleasure. It's always much easier than I think it's going to be. And I love being able to see or hear from each of you. So thanks for attending, and look forward to seeing you. ERC, GPA, lots of opportunities.
ERC, GPA, all the acronyms, ASAP. Thanks everyone out there. Hit that like button. Send a little love out here to Omaha. We're sending it back at you. We wouldn't have a show without you. So we appreciate you so much for taking time out of your day to